with fire that was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. So, again, however God chooses to do it, he's going to destroy a third part of the sea life, a third part of, you know, the ships and so forth, and the water. So it goes to show you, who knows in those times how much, because if there's wars and rumors of wars, you may have a lot of ships out there from different nations that's fighting with other nations. So there's going to be a third of the world ships is gone. So I guess a third of your militaries around will probably be gone. That's interesting that God will put that in scripture, that a third of the ships, which, like I said, 2,000 years ago, he put that in there as if there were a ton of ships. I don't even know if they had ships back then. They had boats, like sailboats. It's something that I'd have to look at. I need to look into that and see if they had huge ships. But you figure we even have, submarines and everything else. But remember, like, if you have something like the size, as they're saying, a mountain going into the water, that may cause a ripple effect of tsunamis around that would just go. You know how tsunamis are. All the water just shoots right out, and then when it comes back, it pulls everything back into it. So you never know how it's going to work, but this is what God is saying here. A third of the sea life is going to turn to blood, so you're not going to have that water to drink. That's now polluted. A third of the creatures, so all of a third, and there's stuff the Bible even tells us you don't even know what's in the waters. You have no idea what God has created to put in the bottom of the sea. You have no idea. But a third of it, whatever it is gonna, and every once in a while you'll see like stuff will just wash up on sea, and they have no idea what it is. They're like, wow, this is some new sea creature that we have no idea what it is. And a third of the sea. Chapter 10, it says, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as if it was a lamp, and it fell upon a third of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died because of the waters, died of the waters because they were made bitter. So now you had a third of the sea life dying as well as the waters. Now this was like, say, your national waters or international waters. Now you have more local waters dying. These are the rivers, but now it took out mankind. Now man is dying too, because remember, it's whoever you worship. This time now men is dying. People worship mankind. People worship their boss. People worship the parents. People worship reality TV shows and whoever else. So now God is showing, mankind, whoever you worship, whatever you worship, I bring it down. So you can make a decision now. Do you want to worship them or do you want to worship me? It's one of the two. And he's done it, previous times before. It's it is what it is. You see it throughout Scripture. You see it, like I said, in the 10 plagues. He even does it in your life. He brings things down. He shows you the people aren't what you think they are. It's just like in New Gethsemane, just about every week for years. Every week, Sister Vorta, she always read Jeremiah 17:7. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose hope the Lord is. Jeremiah 17:5, it says, cursed is the man who trusteth in man and uses man's arm as his strength. Because man can't do anything for you. The only thing man is going to do is let you down. That's the only thing man is going to do, because we're all self-centered. You can think whatever you want about me. I'm going to let you down. I don't care who it is. I'm going to let you down. I'm not going to be what you want. People that I see aren't going to be what I think they should be and all that. You're going to let people down because we're all self-centered. The people who are looking at us are self-centered, and we're self-centered ourselves. God's the only one that's just and righteous. He's the only one. So, it really at that point, he lets you see why are you worshiping man. It's not in your boss. Promotion don't come from him. Promotion don't come from the east or the west. Promotion comes from God, who sits in heaven. That's where it comes from. Where we worship all kind of people, and you see people doing all kind of unscrupulous things all the time, and it's disheartening to see how low people will go. And God looks at it, and eventually he shows you that it's not in any of that stuff. Come back, and he'll do you better than anybody could ever. It's like, what was the saying we used to say? That God is better to me than I've been to myself, because He knows. I'm no good in thought, evil, and anything else. God is way better than I could ever be to myself, because I don't even know what I need or want. You want something, on Monday, and by Tuesday you're tired of it. So you really didn't want it. It wasn't really what you wanted all along. But we'll get into that in a minute. So what is it, 45 minutes now? So let me get to this thing here. 11, I think we're in verse 11. No, 12. And now we have the fourth angel sounding. And it says, the fourth angel sounded, and a third part of the sun was smitten, a third part of the moon was smitten, and a third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And this is interesting too. So now you have what? What do man worship? You worship Mother Nature. You worship the earth, which was the land. He got that. The sea, the local waters now, your rivers and so forth. Mankind. And now you have what? The sun, moon, and stars. You have the atmosphere. This is now in the second heaven. The first heaven is where? It's right down here where the birds fly. That's the first heaven. The second heaven is the atmosphere, where your sun, moon, stars are. That's actually where Satan is too. Satan and his cohorts are there. People think Satan is in hell. Satan's not in hell yet. They cast him down there. Oh yeah, Satan's in hell. Satan's not in hell. Satan is in the second heaven, and he goes from the earth, and he goes up to the third heaven where God is, to accuse us of what we're doing down here on the first heaven. He goes to the third to accuse us. That's why, Jesus called him Diabolos. But there's going to come a time where there's a final war in heaven, and it's getting right around this time here. I think it's in, this is not, I think it's in chapter 9, when he's cast out of the third heaven for the final time, because he has to go to heaven right now to give an account of himself. And while he's there, he's a snitch. he tells on he sets you up, and then he tells on you. But we have an advocate. That's why we have a high priest. We have an advocate sitting on the right hand of the Father on high, and saying, I died for them. They're in the body. You see. But Satan is in the second heaven, that atmospheric portion here, where you have your sun, moon, and your stars. So God has dealt with now all parts of ecology in this. So what happens now when the sun, moon, and stars, you have your life. you're like, you get vitamin D, some say C. You don't know what kind of vitamins you might even get E2. You might get A, B, and C. Who knows? We don't know the full extent of what God has done, but we get vitamins from the sun. We get nutrients. I know I feel better when it's sunny out. When the sun is out, I feel better. I feel more energized. I want to get out of the house. I want to go. When the sun's not out, I don't have to go. I can stay in the house. When the sun is out, I want to get out. And I notice too, like when you're watering your grass and stuff, when the sun comes up, your plants do better. It's something about the sun. He said a third of the sun's not going to be there. third of the sun is not there. Third of the moon, third of your water supply, third. It's going to be something. Now you're messing with it because see, everything what God has created is now is a mess because, like I said, now we get oxygen from the trees, but you also get it from the sea. They said that there's certain plant and algae that you get oxygen from. They also say that the depth of the sea bed itself is at a particular level. If that is too low, you lose oxygen. If it's too high, it interferes with our oxygen levels as well. So, God keeps all that stuff every day. When it says we get brand new mercies, He's going over the whole list every day, making sure everything is right for us right now. That's why He said, I cause the sun to shine on the just and the unjust. I cause it to rain on the just and the unjust. Because why? You get benefits from that. Well, here, there is no sun. And see, a lot of times now, you have a lot of people who are, they call themselves atheists and so forth, because they're taking for granted, they're taking advantage of what God is doing for them every day. You're getting sun, you're getting light, you're getting food, just because we're His creation, He makes sure that there's certain provisions for you. Just because He's God. Unless He's extending some kind of judgment upon you, then But absolutely, and you just don't know, what happens. Now all of a sudden the sea patterns are off. The tides are off. So now you're getting more unstable weather, which we've seen now when they talk about global warming, which is why I said, hey, some of it could be some relevance to that. You have, more storms, you have more hurricanes, there's tornadoes in places that weren't tornadoes before. So you don't know now when you're talking about a third gone, you have no idea what's going to happen. And you're talking also about a third of the sun. Now you're starting to lose warmth. You're starting to lose the heat is the earth going to burn up? You don't know. Freeze, you don't know. It would take God to step in and intercede to do that, because if you're losing a third of your warmth and your heat, anything could happen. So God would have to supernaturally step in to take care of that. But at the same time, what is this change going to do? This isn't going to be a good time to be on Earth. It's not going to be a good time, which is where we're coming to almost here. Especially with the sun and the moon and the star. Joel and Amos prophesied about it, about the moon and the sun. They stopped giving off their light. And Jesus also prophesied it in Luke, and I think in Mark. I think it was like Luke 15 and Mark 21, or I might have in reverse. Luke 21, because Mark only goes up to 16 chapters. So, he prophesied in those about the sun, moon, and stars are going to, basically, there's going to be signs in them of the end of the times and so forth. So it's going to be a terrible time. So, like I said before, I think the end times, they're close, they're near, but it's not tomorrow. According to Scripture, people are getting nervous now. Earth is nowhere near any of this stuff here. It's just not. It's like the Lord said, it's never been anything like this since now and before. This pandemic is nothing compared to the stuff that we see here, what we've been through the seals and the trumpets. And, the bowls aren't, you're not going to have anything nowhere near that with this little pandemic. But it is something to be warned about. It's a caution. The Lord does things to get your attention. He knows. You know, we love the dollar bill. We love money. Money is the root of a lot of evil. And he's basically sat a lot of people down. He sat you down, kept you in the house. And you think about it, everybody around the world, put everybody on ice all around the world. Everybody go in the house. Everybody. How nobody could do that but God. Nobody could put everybody in the house but God. Everybody just go in the house and just sit down and chill out. Don't even talk to many people. You can't even talk to nobody. People, even family. I went to the door. My neighbor was on the porch. She ran away from me. Oh, I can't be near you. I've been next to her for 22 years. Now I can't talk to you. Ran away. I'm talking about you, Joyce. Don't worry about it. My aunt said, don't come over here. Yeah, I'll talk to you on the phone, but don't come nowhere near the house. Only God can do that. Why? Because we've been too fast. We're running around. You're too fast. You need to slow down and think about what's going on. Think about this. Think about it. Only God can do something like that. Verse 13, it says, and I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices and of the trumpets of the three angels which are yet to sound. He's saying, in other words, if you haven't died yet, woe, woe, woe to you. Because most of the time, you know, when you hear woe, it's usually pronouncing some kind of judgment or condemnation. It's definitely not good news. you know, Jesus used to say, woe unto you, you know, if you're in this situation, or, you know, woe unto you. So woe unto them who are still there, because it's going to be a terrible time when we get to chapter 9. Because remember, it's progressive. It's the judgments have been progressive. So, you know, in these verses here, it's, you know, again, it's something that we should really, really take heed, because you never know. You never know what God is doing, and, you know, how he's affecting your life. He said, when, you know, you feel me pulling at your heartstrings, don't harden your heart, because he can be knocking at the door of your heart like this. But eventually he's still doing it with the same intensity, but you don't feel it as much. So now you only hear it like that. And it gets to the point where he's still knocking and you don't even hear it at all. But he's still trying to reach you. So sometimes we have to slow down and think about what God is saying to us. What is he really, really saying? There's a lot of stuff going on today that we should be taking heed to. You know, a lot of things, how, you know, we treat people. This is his creation. You know, take care of his entire creation. You know, we have folk like, you know, here, you know, animals and so forth. People love animals more than they do people. And, you know, I don't know. People were created in the image and likeness of God. You know, it's almost like saying I love my dog better than I love God. Something to think about. But at any rate, we'll get to verse 9. I'll try to upload this. For some reason now, it seems to be delaying a little bit. It's taking me hours now to get this uploaded to what do you call it, YouTube. But we'll do the best we can to get it up there, and I'll start working on chapter 9, because I know I'm 2 weeks behind. So I'll try to get chapter 9 by the middle of next week, and we should be back on course. But until then, be good, stay healthy. And Denny, I said I would call you out. Denny McGarry, Harry McGarry. Take care, Den. I'll talk to you.